You think it's all over, but it's not. This person still thinks about you more than they should. The longing hurts, the regret weighs heavily, and on quiet nights, tears fall unnoticed. You may not realize it, but your name still echoes in their mind. And the question that lingers, is there a way back? What's happening could change everything. You need to know this now. It doesn't matter how much time has passed. It doesn't matter how many times you've pretended to be okay. The truth is that certain connections don't break that easily. You feel it too, don't you? That strange feeling that, even from afar, something still ties you both together, as if a part of you still belongs to this story. Pride can be the perfect disguise, but longing doesn't know how to lie. It appears in the details, in how this person avoids certain places, in the way they still hesitate when hearing your name, in the restlessness when remembering what could have been. You think you've been forgotten, but the truth is different. If only you could see what happens when no one is watching. The deep sigh in the middle of the night. The phone in hand, staring at your saved number yet too scared to call. Memories suddenly flooding in the midst of an ordinary day, unsettling everything. And what comes next? Regret. The weight of every unspoken word, of every action that could have been different. The guilt of letting you slip away. The persistent thought of how things could be now if pride hadn't taken precedence, if fear hadn't won. Maybe you think it was all a mistake. But what if that person on the other side is thinking exactly the same thing? What if the distance between you exists only because neither of you had the courage to take a step? Do you feel it, don't you? That doubt that just won't go away. That question that haunts you in the moments of silence. Is there still a way back? Has this story really come to an end? The truth is, you never left this person's mind. You might think everything is fine, that time has resolved it all, but deep down, nothing has been forgotten. There are nights when regret weighs heavier than the pillow. There are moments when this person finds themselves reliving every detail, every word, every glance. What if you knew how many times they thought about reaching out to you? How many times they picked up their phone, opened the conversation, and just stared at the screen, writing and erasing the message? Fear froze them. Pride held them back. But the longing was there, burning inside. Days go by, but the pain doesn't fade. The longing tightens, suffocating. The silence hurts more than any argument you've ever had, because now there are no explanations, no justifications, no chance to change what was said or done. Only the emptiness remains. And what hurts even more? Knowing that maybe you feel the same, that perhaps you too have thought about going back, but didn't know how. That maybe you've been waiting for a sign, an action, anything that proved it was still worth it. But what if that sign has been there all along? What if the simple fact that this person is still stuck in your mind is the answer you've been seeking? Perhaps you have drifted apart over mistakes that could have been avoided. Perhaps you let pride decide for you. But now what? What's next? Will you keep pretending that you've forgotten? Will you continue ignoring the truth that your heart already knows? You miss them. You know you do. But do you have the courage to admit it? Because on the other side, this person feels too. And maybe, just maybe, they're waiting for you more than you realize. Because on the other side, this person feels too. And maybe, just maybe, they're waiting for you more than you realize. But how long? How long will this story remain in suspense without a conclusion? How long will the days go by while this longing is pushed under the rug, pretending it doesn't exist? This person misses you at the most unexpected times, when they hear that song you both used to love, when they pass by a place that reminds them of you two, when they see a couple on the street and wonder if you could still be like that, side by side. And when night falls, the loneliness weighs heavier, the silence screams, regret tightens the chest and won't let go. It's in that moment that this person thinks of you the most. They imagine what it would be like to hear your voice again, to see you even from afar, to feel for just a moment that you still care. But you know what hurts the most? The uncertainty, the fear that it might already be too late, the worry that while this person is still thinking of you, you've already moved on. And you? Did you really move on? Or are you just pretending that you have? How many times did you feel like calling but decided against it? How many times did you reread old messages, trying to find something that explained why everything ended? The truth is clear. You both are still trapped in this story. Even apart, even without exchanging a single word, there's something unresolved. Something that makes you remember, that makes this person remember. But time doesn't wait. If you don't act now, it could be too late. If you keep allowing pride to decide for you, you might lose the chance that still exists, because this person thinks of you. And if you feel the same, why keep pretending that you don't? Time can heal many things, but it doesn't erase what remains unanswered. It doesn't negate feelings that still burn inside, nor does it erase the memories that insist on resurfacing. You might convince yourself that moving on was the best choice, but deep down you know there's something unfinished. And you know what else? That person feels the same way. They might not show it. They might hide behind smiles, new habits, or distractions that only serve as an escape. But the truth is, inside, there's an emptiness that nothing fills. And that emptiness has your name on it. You might think everything was a mistake. But what if, in reality, the biggest mistake is the silence, the fear of trying again, the lack of courage to take a step in the right direction? Think about it. If you knew that this person still misses you, that they think about you every day, that there's regret for every word left unsaid, for every moment wasted, what would you do? Would you let pride hold you back? Or would you do something before it's too late? Because sometimes all a story needs to continue is for one of the parties to have the courage to admit the truth. And the truth is this: this person hasn't forgotten you. And maybe, just maybe, they're still waiting for you to not forget them either. But for how long? Time isn't kind to those who wait too long. It doesn't stop, doesn't rewind, and doesn't give second chances unless someone fights for them. And maybe you've already felt that firsthand. How many times have you wished you could turn back time and do things differently? How many times have you caught yourself thinking about all that could have been but wasn't? Life goes on. But some stories remain open, waiting for someone to have the courage to write the next chapter. And if you knew there was still a chance, if you could look into this person's eyes and see that, despite everything, there's still a living feeling inside, would you have the courage to try again? Or would you let it go, only to realize later that some people are irreplaceable? The pain of regret is worse than the pain of wounded pride. You can overcome pride, but the opportunity you missed might never come back. If there's still something in your heart, don't ignore it. Don't pretend you've forgotten, because perhaps the other person is waiting for exactly that, a sign. And if you both keep waiting, what's left? Just an eternal silence, loaded with everything that could have been. Don't wait too long, because one day it might be too late. And the only thing worse than a broken heart is a heart full of what-ifs that will never be answered. Do you feel that? That tightness in your chest whenever the past insists on returning? That feeling that something is still unresolved, that this story shouldn't have ended like this? Time may pass, but there are feelings that refuse to die. You can ignore them, try to hide them, occupy your mind with other things, but just one moment of silence and there it is again. The memory, the longing, the doubt. And you know what's worse? The fear of finding out that it's already too late. That while you hesitated, while pride spoke louder, while fear prevented you from acting, the other person decided to move on without looking back. But did they really move on? Or are they also trapped in the same doubt? Have you ever stopped to think about how many times that person picked up their phone, opened your chat, and just stared at the screen without the courage to type? How many times have they found themselves reliving every detail of what you had, trying to understand where it all went wrong? Longing can be silent, but it's not weak. It weighs down, it hurts, it tightens your chest at the most unexpected moments. And no matter how much that person tries to move forward, something within them still belongs to you. Maybe they are waiting for a sign. Maybe they just need a reason to believe that it's still worth trying. But what about you? Are you going to keep waiting for life to make decisions for you? Or are you going to take the step that could change everything? Because what separates you right now isn't time. It's not the mistakes of the past. It's silence. And how long will you let this silence decide the fate of something that could still be everything? The truth is this: some connections never completely break. You can take different paths, meet new people, try to fill the emptiness with new experiences. But deep down, there's a place within you that still belongs to that story. And if you feel that way, the other person feels it too. Because love, when it's real, doesn't just disappear like that. It can be suffocated by time, hidden by pride, covered by layers of excuses. But at the right moment it resurfaces. And maybe that moment is now. Maybe it's time to stop running and face what truly matters, to put pride aside and admit that this person is still within you. Because what hurts more? The fear of trying and getting hurt, or the certainty of never having tried and living with that doubt forever? Don't let this story get lost in silence. Because if there's something that still makes you feel, it's worth it. And if you could have one last conversation, if you had the chance to say everything that's been stuck in your throat, would you let pride silence you, or would you speak the truth, unafraid of what might happen? Because the truth is this: nothing hurts more than unspoken words. Nothing aches more than knowing you had the chance and did nothing, that you let it slip away, that you allowed silence to be stronger than your heart. How many times have you asked yourself, what if I had tried? What if I had taken one more step? Would everything have been different? Regret can haunt you forever if you don't do something now. And the worst part is knowing that on the other side, there might be someone feeling the same way, that maybe this person is also waiting, that they carry the same longing in their heart, but lack the courage to act. But how long? How long are you going to keep pretending that you've moved on? How long are you going to ignore what is so obvious? Time doesn't wait. And the longer you put off this decision, the further away this story gets. But it's not over yet. There is still time. There is still a chance. And that chance begins when someone decides to do something. If this person is still in your heart, maybe it's time to show that you're still in theirs too. Because in the end, the most beautiful stories are the ones saved by those who had the courage to fight for them. So what now? What are you going to do? Are you going to keep waiting for time to solve things for you? Are you going to continue pretending that you don't feel anything? Or are you going to face what truly matters and take a step toward the truth? Life is made up of choices. Some of them are small, almost imperceptible. Others change everything. And this could be one of them, because while you hesitate, this person is still thinking about you. On the bad days, on the good days, in those moments when the world seems to move slower, and the mind has time to wander back into the past. And amid all those memories, you're still there. They might not show it. They might have learned to hide it well. They might have moved on with their routine, trying to convince themselves that everything is behind them. But the truth? Nothing is gone. Because what was real doesn't disappear. It may lay dormant, it may hide, but it always finds a way to return. And now this story is back. Not just in this person's mind, but inside you too. Because if it weren't, you wouldn't be here now, reading this, feeling all of this. So tell me, what's missing? What still holds you back? What else needs to happen for you to understand that this connection is still alive? Pride, the fear of getting hurt, the uncertainty of what will happen next? None of this should be greater than the desire to not live with that doubt forever. Because one day it might be too late. And if that person is important to you, then maybe it's time to do something before that silence becomes permanent. Maybe it's time to stop just feeling and start acting. You can ignore it, pretend that nothing else matters, go on with life as if that feeling isn't there. But what if, after some time, you look back and realize that you lost your only chance to rewrite that story? Time doesn't forgive those who wait too long. And that person? They still miss you. They still wonder if you feel the same way. But eventually, they might tire of waiting. One day it might be too late. If there's still something inside you, don't let silence decide for both of you. Perhaps all that person needs is a sign, a word, an action that proves it's still worth it. So tell me, what are you going to do? Are you going to let this story die without an answer? Or will you have the courage to find out what could happen if you tried? Now it's up to you. If this text resonated with you, if you've ever felt something similar, leave a comment below. Do you still believe certain people come back? And if this topic touched you, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for more content like this. Oh, and don't forget to hit the like button because it helps me bring more messages that speak directly to the heart.